Why among tens of thousands of animals is it the lobster that happens to possess a near immortal trait? If it can truly live indefinitely, what kind of ending would a lobster face after living too long? From birth to the end of its life, a lobster continues growing non-stop. Its cells seem not to age, still able to divide continuously, showing almost no signs of decline. This completely defies the fundamental logic of biology and the natural world. After all, no cell can escape the fate of aging and death. But why can lobsters break the curse of aging? From a biological perspective, most animals go through a fixed cycle of aging and death, cell division, wear and tear, until they eventually stop functioning. But lobsters are entirely different. A 90-year-old grandpa lobster can still overpower a young lobster with ease. This isn't an exception, it's a pattern. Researchers found that older lobsters not only fail to weaken, but actually become stronger, larger, and more fertile. This clearly contradicts the normal aging trajectory of other animals. Naturally, the question arises, why hasn't their mobility decreased at all? Just when everyone was puzzled, the answer finally surfaced. Lobsters continuously secrete a substance called telomerase throughout their entire lives, a very rare phenomenon. In most animals, telomerase activity stops after adulthood, and aging begins.
To put it in the simplest words, every time a cell divides, the telomere at the end of the DNA strand becomes shorter. Once the telomere becomes too short, the cell can no longer divide, leading to aging, cell damage, and eventually death. It's like the plastic tip of a shoelace. Once it wears off, the shoelace starts to fray and come apart. Telomerase works to maintain the integrity of telomeres, allowing lobster cells to keep dividing efficiently and stably, without cell breakdown, DNA fractures, or falling into slow cell death. Lab tests have confirmed that no matter how old a lobster is, its body tissues show virtually no signs of aging. This is why some people say lobsters are immortal. Not entirely true, but rooted in real biological traits. Their bodies don't age like humans, their reproductive ability doesn't decline, their organs don't stop functioning, and they don't develop mammalian aging diseases. Theoretically, if there were no predators, no diseases, no accidents, and no threat from human dining tables, lobsters could seemingly live forever. But here comes the question, what truly ends their lives? The answer is rather strange. They die from their own growth. Lobsters have a hard exoskeleton that protects them from predators and physical damage, but the shell is a dead structure that cannot expand with the body. To grow, a lobster must molt and form a new, bigger shell inside. But as age increases and the body becomes larger, molting becomes more difficult and places greater strain on the body. The outer shell becomes thicker and harder to break free from. And once a lobster fails to molt, it becomes trapped inside its old shell, turning weak, easily invaded by diseases or eaten by predators. Molting also consumes huge amounts of energy. What's worse, lobsters can only mate after molting. Females store sperm in a special pouch inside their bodies and hide inside the male's burrow while their softened shell hardens over roughly 2 weeks. Around 9 to 12 months later, a mature female lobster can lay about 100,000 eggs at once. These eggs have no nest protection and float as a drifting cloud of life, so fewer than 1% survive. The rest are eaten, swept away by currents, or fail to hatch. From the lucky survivors, only an extremely tiny fraction will grow into those ageless giants. A 50-year-old lobster can exceed 70 centimeters in length and weigh over 9 kilograms, about 600 times longer and 1,000,000 times heavier than at birth. Yet their path to survival is full of danger. When their size reaches a certain limit, the laws of physics press the stop button on their unlimited growth. Molting, the process essential for their survival, becomes extremely catastrophic and dangerous. Young lobsters molt several times a year, but at 50, 70, or nearly 100 years old, the molting cycle stretches to years apart. Energy demand skyrockets, and the risk of molting failure increases exponentially. Eventually, some lobsters stop molting entirely. Without a new shell, they become trapped inside the old, stiffening shell and die from the inside. Like their biological functions remain lively, but the physical structure collapses first. There are rare giant individuals. The largest recorded lobster was caught in 1977 on the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, weighing 20.14 kilograms and over 1 meter long. Scientists estimate it was at least 100 years old. Many giant lobsters show clear scars of age, cracked shells, missing limbs, claws barely able to move. Not ocean warriors anymore, but ancient tanks surviving on habit and luck. The most famous example is George, reportedly 140 years old when captured near Newfoundland, temporarily kept in a New York seafood restaurant, then released after public protest, but marine biologists noted that his size and condition already signaled the end was near. The longer lobsters live, the harsher their survival conditions become. Their immortality is not true immortality, but a biological misunderstanding overshadowed by harsher limitations than aging itself. In reality, their average lifespan is around 31 years for males and 54 years for females. Like any creature in nature, lobsters cannot escape the constraints of physical laws. Their immortality is merely a beautiful misconception.